We're live.
We are live. What's up, everybody? Good to see you guys. I am Josh Weinstein, and I am the CEO of Preview Models. And today I have some special guests with me. I have my main man right over here, Mr. Peyton. He is the COO of Preview Models. Wave a hand, Peyton.
I think my name might be down here. Or it will be later once the editors get it. And,
okay. Well, just in case, I want you to wave a hand so people know that you're actually nice.
Yeah, but I think you really need to say how much of a special guest I actually am, because normally I would not be doing something like this on a weekday. But here we are.
Here we are. Yeah, and also we have with us an industry professional today from Ophelia Management, which is a talent modeling agency management company. Mr. Luke right with us as well. What's up, Luke?
Hello.
All right. So here's what we're going to do today. We're going to talk about entertainment. We're going to talk about a few things that I really wanted to go over today with the whole group. And there's a chat section here in the comments, and we're going to be going through it. Hello, gentlemen. Hello, Kim. And we're going to be answering questions that you guys might have about entertainment. But really, the topic that we're going to be talking about today is the 7 steps to book national representation for yourself in entertainment. And that's really kind of what we're going to talk about today. And we want to just answer everybody's questions and really get anything that's on anybody's mind about entertainment and put it out in the air.
But
so, you have something to say?
Always.
Okay.
But before we do that, let's set the foundation for what this whole thing is. And so, yeah, we are going to start with those 7 steps to national representation today. But what this little moment that we are having here together is that in 2024, Preview Models, what our goal is to start providing more and more value to you guys. A lot of you guys are already coming to one of our events. Some of you are not yet. Some of you may be on the fence about it. Whatever. What we're going to do here is kind of demystify the crazy entertainment world. It's actually not that much of a secret. Is there a strategy? Yeah, that's what we're here for. But we just kind of want to open up our minds to you guys and provide you, with insight, even if you're not a client, because this is what we do all the time. And who knows, maybe Josh and I will learn something along the way too. More him than me. But anyway.
More me. Yeah, more me. But also we want to introduce Luke. Luke, tell us about yourself, what do you do for Ophelia, and maybe talk a little bit about Ophelia so we can get to know you.
Yeah, so my name is Luke Hayden. I am an international modeling scout and agent. I'm one of the 3 owners of Ophelia Management located in New York City. We are a mother agency specializing in development, scouting, and placement of models. So we work a lot with high fashion models, but also doing beauty and editorial bookings, campaigns. So we work all across the board. We work a lot with curve models, non-binary models, male models, so all across the board. I've been doing this going on 10 years now. So lots of insight, lots of connections. So I'm excited. Thanks for having me here this evening.
Yeah, thanks, man. Thanks. And really quick, I just want to start this off. How many people or how many talent right now does Ophelia represent? Do you know that number?
I don't know off the top of my head, but I know it's like over 80.
Over 80. So do you know, like generally like a large modeling agency, what the client list is?
I know like a Wilhelmina or IMG, it's like 200, 300, 400.
Okay.
And those are worldwide companies, though.
Right.
They have more than just like one location.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome. So let's get into this. We want to talk about, and we're going to answer your questions along the way in the comments. If you guys have any, or if you just, think I look handsome tonight, that's fine. Put a thumbs up. All right. So the 7 steps to book national representation. The first step that I want to put out there is photos. Your photos, making sure that you have up-to-date test shots and digitals. Would you agree with this, Luke?
Yes. More so digitals, more importantly than anything. Digitals are one of the main things we look at when we're making a decision if we want to actually represent a model, because portfolio images are great. You have on a lot of makeup, cool clothing, but the digitals are like the bare bone. That's what we look at.
Okay.
I
What
always
about
like to say that me, Josh, Luke, any other agent, any other casting director, whatever, like we can turn you into whatever we want, but we need to see kind of the blank canvas that we're working with. And so that's why, digitals are so important. We have digitals as a part of our event to make sure that, they're top notch and, they're really important. So continue.
Okay, okay. Really quick, I wanted to ask you, Luke, about do you like when models come in with like full on like lookbooks? I mean, they're bringing you their their
Portfolio.
editorials, yeah, their portfolio. Thanks, Peyton. Sometimes I get a little foggy up here.
I'm here for a reason.
It honestly just depends if the photos are industry, standard, or if they're good quality. If they've worked with like reputable photographers, then cool, it puts us ahead of the game. But I think what we find a lot of times is people are shooting with the wrong photographers. So we get those photos and we really have to start from scratch. So if you're not confident or not 100% sure that the photos are what agencies are looking for, then I would just hold off until you get the guidance of an agency.
Okay. And Sierra has a question. She said, how often should digitals portfolios be updated? Is this a quarterly cycle or biannual update?
So we always tell our models that anytime there's a major look change, whether that's like hair or a tattoo, that you want to update your digitals. If there's not, I'd say about every 3 to 6 months that you need to get updated digitals.
Okay.
And
Cool.
I think also another factor that you should consider is your age. So if you're a mother and you have a kid that's doing modeling, obviously they're going to be changing a lot more than any of us, especially me, because I pay for that. But a kid's going to be changing a whole lot more, so they might have to maybe even change their digitals and portfolios even sooner than that schedule.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Sierra, for your question. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. All right. Let's go into point number 2. I think we got point number 1 right, photos. Number 2, social media. Agents are going to ask for your social media information, right? So we always want to make sure that the social media, I say, represents the brand and it looks professional if you're getting into modeling. Gentlemen, I'd let you touch onto this as far as social media. Luke, on an agency perspective, what do you guys look with social media?
Well, first thing I always say, my piece of advice is make sure your social media is not private, especially if you want to get into this business. And then I say just make sure there's a good balance between personal and professional on there, showcasing, the real you and then the model you. I always think that that's nice for us to see when scouting.
Okay.
So you're talking though about like if I pop up someone's Instagram, like what am I seeing? But let's just be like blatant about it. Does follower count matter? And if it does, why? And if it doesn't, why not?
Follower account doesn't matter unless you're trying to brand yourself as an influencer. If you just want to be a model, we're not really going to look at your follower count. And actually, I just did a video talking about this the other day. A lot of casting directors would prefer models with less followers because they like this. There's a new thing in the industry that they're doing now where they're only debuting new faces. They're only putting new faces on runways in certain seasons. So the less followers, sometimes the better. If you've not established yourself as a model yet. So it doesn't really matter about followers unless you're trying to brand yourself as an influencer. So if you're like, hey, I'm an influencer and we go in and you have 2,000 followers, we're going to be like, well, you're not really influencing anything. But we don't really look at it unless you're branding yourself that way.
Awesome. And actually, I think next month we're going to have some social media influencers actually on live that we're going to talk to. So it'll be good to tune in.
One more quick thing though that I'm gonna say. So again, the reason for like this Q&A and all of the new content that we're going to be having on our YouTube is to kind of provide as much info as possible so you guys can kind of come up with your own strategy for this crazy industry. So remember, Luke is in the modeling world. And so he says, follower count doesn't matter, blah, 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 blah. Now, that's cool. That's great. I am all behind that. We do have some talent agents. So these are people that are, primarily geared towards actors that come to our event, and they might be a little bit more interested in their follower count in the beginning. because that means that you might already have a fan base that you can bring to a project that you're working on. So sometimes it's kind of like a happy balance between those things, or finding, the rep that, fits wherever you're at in that world.
Okay, so we have a question from Maddie. I like it. Okay. Question: if you have a business account and a personal, is it okay to have your personal page private?
In my opinion, I don't think it's necessary to have two different accounts. Agents, scouts, especially when we're online scouting, the less clicks we have to do, the better, because we're going to be like, oh, there's another. It's just better if it's all in one place.
So yeah, let me ask you this. So, okay, so say we do have a business profile, right? And this personal profile. When you're looking at somebody, I mean, do you go to their business one, but then, their personal one could be a little, maybe sketch. And I mean, is that something that you would look at and that would maybe defer you from signing?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
If there's a lot of things on Instagram, on your personal Instagram, that should not be there, because casting directors do go in and look at that. They are looking at that stuff. So if it's going to hinder you from booking jobs in any way, we're just going to stay clear.
Okay. Great.
This is like another little moment also. So a lot of you guys, I see right now that Lil Fuego is like coming to the event in March. So that means that she either came to an audition with us in person in a city, or you did like a virtual audition. So we kind of want to pull the curtains behind a little bit here, pull them back and look behind. So there are remember, everybody who works in this business is also a human and also a person. And we are going to look at your social media. We might even talk about it at dinner if we saw something really interesting. So, in a positive or negative way. So keep that in mind. But back to the question that we were trying to answer, I think it was, is it okay if you have a personal page private? I think it is, but I would maybe, in my opinion, I would make your personal page like not even your name. Like, we have some of our model mentors that we work with that have like their main page under their name that is completely public, and they have kind of a complete incognito account that even if you were looking for it, you wouldn't be able to find it and associate it with that person. So if it was me, and I wanted to have those two accounts and I had the time to do both, that's how I would do it.
Sounds a little shady, Peyton.
It sounds a little shady, but you know what? Hey, sometimes it's good to compartmentalize.
All right. Let me get into the questions here really quick. Okay. And by the way, glad you're coming to March. Can't wait to meet you, and I can't wait to work with you. Minikstrom, I don't know if I'm saying it right, but is there still strict height requirements for certain areas of modeling, or has that changed over the years? I mean, I want to say it's definitely changed over the years. So many things are open and available now that were not. However, there are still very strict requirements. I mean, if you're getting into high fashion or certain areas of modeling, there are certain requirements. But I will say that the modeling industry is much more open and less, requirements, restrictions on getting an actual agent or representation and going out and booking work. Now, for certain agencies like Ophelia Management, there are strict requirements. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, and also too, it just depends on your marketability, right? So if you look like a fashion model, but you're only, 5'3", there's not really much we would be able to do with you, because we work in the high fashion markets a lot. So like, there is a shift that we're seeing in New York and LA and the US markets. They have opened up a lot. Where we see a lot of restrictions still are over in Europe and Paris, Milan, where those really big brands like Gucci, Louis Vuitton, they're still kind of leaning a little bit strict, but they did just have a curve show in Europe, which was a huge deal. So maybe there's going to be a little bit more of a shift moving forward. So we'll see.
Awesome. And Preview Models is going to be in Paris in 2024. So we are excited about that as well. All right, back into this. Let's see here. Recommended hair length. There's not really a recommended. I mean, I think that would be like a personal preference or an agency preference. Like if your agency is like, hey, I think you're going to book more jobs if your hair was brown, or if it were a certain length. I think that they could place you more in different areas as far as jobs are concerned. So I think that's more of a like a management thing, management question, as far as where you would book the most. What do you think about that? Am I kind of on there, Luke?
Yeah, I would just say, I mean, have your natural, like whatever you prefer. And then once you get signed, just take the guidance of the agent because they're going to know what's best. Like we
It's
had
like
a
a
girl that had
pure
long
like
brunette
case
hair.
by case thing for sure,
Yeah,
right?
case by case. Like
Yeah.
we had a girl that had long brunette hair and she wasn't booking. And we were like, all right, chop it into a mullet and dye it bright orange. And then she started booking left and right. So it's just case by case.
Yeah. Well,
I
actually,
think back to photos though, the most important thing is that whenever you do get in front of that agent or that casting director, that you look like your photos. So I think that's almost even more important than worrying about what your hair is going into it.
yeah, I actually have a funny story. Peyton, before he came on to Preview Models, he had an emo haircut. It was kind of like over his face. And I said, there's a strict hair requirement if you're going to work for Preview Models. And so voila, we have the new
Yeah.
hairstyle, and it looks great, I gotta say.
There was quite a bit of embellishment there.
He was going down some
Like the
dark
timing's
moments.
way off and it
It
wasn't
was-
quite emo. It's definitely on brand
I
for
think it was
that
pretty
moment.
emo. I think
But
that
like Luke
you're
said, you know, if
delusional
it
about
doesn't
it.
work, let's chop it into a mullet. And so
Yeah.
maybe that was that moment for me.
I can see with a mullet. I can see with a mullet. All
I've-
right, next
I've had one.
let's move on. Let's move on. I'll be modeling for the March event as well. So exciting! It's going to be really awesome. Let me tell you, Mario Lopez is confirmed as the host. We're very excited. We actually have a lot more details about the production, but I can't release it just yet because the producer of your show, Miss Laura James, season 19, winner of America's Next Top Model, is the actual producer. And I can't give away any secrets because she would kill me. So it's going to be amazing. And anything that you think that it is in your mind of like what it's going to be, I guarantee you it's going to be much more than you ever expected. I promise you that. All right, let's get into this. Okay, are bathing suit photos bad on your Instagram? CNC vlogs. Luke, let's take that one. Are bathing suit photos bad on your Instagram?
No, because I think most agencies are going to request bathing suit digitals anyway. So I don't think it's bad to have on there.
Okay.
I have a follow-up on that though. But we try to stress that all of the photos that you use for your brand, if you're really interested in getting involved in this industry, are industry standard. They need to look professional. They need to look good. We were having a conversation with our administrative team today about a lot of the photos that our own clients have sent in prior to the event for approval, and there were so many that we weren't able to approve because it wasn't professional at all. So just make sure that it's like in your mind a good representation of yourself. That's what it comes down to. This business is weird because people are the product and people are also emotional. But keep in mind that if you're getting involved in entertainment in any aspect, like you are a product, and the sooner that you get comfortable with looking at yourself that way, the better that you're probably going to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Let's get back into this. I got you. What should not be on your social media profile? Do political and spiritual beliefs matter? Of course they matter. Of course they matter. But do we want it on our social media? I mean, I like to say, it's good to have your beliefs and believe whatever you believe in and whatever party you believe in, but I think it could be a factor in not signing with some agencies and also booking some jobs. I think it could work against you. What do you think, Luke?
I always stay very clear personally, putting anything like that on my personal social media. I just try to remain professional. Business is business. I don't think that really ties into business. That's personal. And I just try to stay clear and tell people, especially clients, it's your Instagram, post what you want, but just be careful.
again, we're back to strategy again. This business is a strategy. So, be careful when it comes to that. Weigh the pros and the cons of posting, whatever. Not saying don't be yourself, but maybe, save that for that incognito personal profile.
Save that for the Thanksgiving Day table with your family. All right.
But I don't want to be invited to.
All right. Let's dive into this. Let's see here from Kazan Clark. Question for Luke. If you are represented by a mother agency now, is that considered a disadvantage for a management company like Ophelia? Great question.
So Ophelia is a mother agency, so you can only have one mother agent. But it's not a disadvantage to be signed with other agencies that are booking agencies, because that's actually the mother agent's job, is to place those models with booking agencies in multiple different markets. So it's a disadvantage if you wanted to be signed with another mother agency, but not necessarily if you wanted to be signed with a booking agency, which your mother agency should be promoting you and shopping you out.
Awesome. I got a follow up for that for Peyton really quick. Peyton, can you be signed by multiple agencies? That's the question.
You can. So basically, this is probably like a video like in itself that we should do. So I'll try not to go down the rabbit hole too much, but essentially you can be signed with as many agents as you can, as long as they're not representing you for the same stuff, for the same thing. So for example, a lot of agency contracts usually have a, especially like for acting, sometimes for modeling as well, they have like a mile radius that your contract is for. And so obviously, for example, if you had a agent in Los Angeles and there's a 75-mile radius and they're representing you across the board for everything, you probably, well, you can't get another agent in that 75-mile radius that's going to also represent you for something. Now, let's say you live in Los Angeles and you have a agent that represents you for commercial print modeling, and then that's it. And then you're also interested in doing, TV commercials. You could have two agents in that same area because they're representing you for different things. So basically, yeah, that's how it works. It gets a little bit more, nitty gritty if we're talking about mother agents and things like that. I think we have one of those. Did we just answer that question, or do we have one coming up? I saw
we have a bunch of questions coming up. So
yeah,
let's dive back in. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Mother agent.
Well, and I was going to say, I just filmed a video exactly on that topic. There's a whole video that I did.
Yeah. So make sure you guys are following.
Right?
Yeah. Make sure you guys are following and subscribing to the Preview Models YouTube page, because we are about to drop a ton of free content about modeling. That's only going to help. All right. So let's get back into this. I got you. Obviously, like substances and bullying are a no-go. I'm asking about topics not as obvious. I think you're talking about posting maybe like anti-bullying things on your social media. I mean, I think that's great. I love that you're caring, but at the end of the day, I want to talk, like Peyton said, this is a business. What is going to make us the most dollars? That's what I think that you need to look at this as far as what you want your brand to be. Let's make some money. All right. Kim Battles, I'm attending March. Very excited. We're excited to have you. Can't wait to see you and see what you accomplish. All right. Kate, if you are a model that wants to be seen, is there SM platforms that
social media? That's what it stands for.
Sorry, 1 second here. Okay. Is there social media? Thank you for correcting me, because I was like, what the hell is SM? I was like, man, I'm out the game. All right. So is there social media platforms that agencies tend to be on more? Luke.
I think we're on everything. We're that's our job. We're constantly scouting. So we're on whatever they call Twitter nowadays. We're on TikTok. We're on Instagram, Facebook. So we're on everything. We're always looking for the next star.
All right. I'm 59 years old. Is there much work opportunity for me as a model? Well, I would say Maserati Supa. I don't know if that's your name, but that's your title. Yeah, There is, do you see advertisements with, people that are older? I mean, there's jobs for everybody, for any typecast. I mean, it's all entertainment. It has to be your passion. It has to be something that you want to do, want to be a part of, and get out of your own head about how old you are. All right. The JMB model for October. How do we cast for music artists performing at the events? Well, we leave that up to the producer these days, which is Miss Laura James. We've given her the 100% ability to create whatever she wants, and it's been amazing. So we let Miss Laura James really kind of direct and produce the actual show, and Peyton actually works right alongside her in creating the actual production itself. All right. Let's see.
So just a little heads up, like obviously there's like a handful of you guys on here today that are actually coming to one of our events. Like we're not ignoring your questions about like actual like stuff in regarding to the event, but those are like more like administrative questions. So that would be like our admin team that you guys have access to. Like Josh and I are not the best at that. We're more of the big.
I'm the worst administrator. I'm going to tell you, I don't even know when the March event or the October event is. But like Peyton literally just tells me like, this is what you're doing. And so, I show up. That's what happens. That's a true story. All right. So let's get back into this here.
What is a good height for a woman looking to be in high fashion? This is from Elena.
Generally speaking, 5'9" and up. 5'9" to 5'11".
It's still the same. And we talked about this earlier, especially about the European agencies and the European agencies and the European fashion brands that are still sticking to that image in your head of a model, someone about that big around that looks a little bit like an alien, because that's what sells. And so there's a reason for that. And the reason is that these designers are usually making one of the outfits that you see, and you have to fit it. And so if you don't fit that model, it's just a physical thing. It's not anything against that person. It's just how the industry works. But like Luke said, it's opening up, but they still have, those, requirements and those deadlines where they can't make something, to fit everybody for these shows that they make. There's a couple of documentaries that I've seen. There was one, I don't remember the name of it, but it's about Marc Jacobs when he took over Louis Vuitton or was doing one of the very first shows for them. All of you guys that are interested in this industry should watch it, because it shows you like how much goes into putting in these fashion shows and how crazy it really would be to try to like accommodate like every type of model. It's just physically impossible from like a business perspective. You'll learn a lot.
All right, I got a question here now. I'm going to go ahead and give this to Peyton. My hair is currently this cute baby pink. Should I do it? Should I dye it to my regular color for the event, or should I leave it for personality, expression, etc.?
So very opinionated on this one. So cool. I love it. I love that you have pink hair. I love that you feel that like really shows your personality and how much you can express yourself. But when it really comes down to it, like we know that we can make you have pink hair. I know that I can probably get you to have blue hair or green hair. I want to know what you're working with on your own. This is the way that you need to look at it. These agents are coming to the event, or if you're not coming to the event, if you're just reaching out to agencies, on your own via their websites, whatever. These agents are looking for people that can make the money. If you're showing up and you only have pink hair, and remember, these are humans, we talked about that earlier, it's going to be a little bit more difficult for them to see how many different things you could be if all they see is that pink-haired person. Versus if you show up in your natural state, then their mind can go, oh, she'd be great for this. She'd be great for this. She'd be great for that thing. So we say it on the road all the time, don't pigeonhole yourself into one exact thing right now. Let the industry decide where they kind of want you, and then, go where you're, getting picked up the most. Again, it's a business. So let it decide where it wants you to be and then capitalize on that. It's all about capitalization.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Great question. Great answer. Next question. Will the runway shows be televised? Yes, they will. Actually, this next March one, we have Chanel West Coast as one of the designers. She's bringing her crew, and she's currently shooting a TV show on MTV, and they will be following her around. Now, televised being, we can film this, and it's, it takes a long time and to go into editing, and it could be like 6 months down the road. It's not live television. It's not going to be on live TV like ABC or, shot live. Not yet, but maybe someday. But it will be televised. All right. Next question. I am a 6'1" plus size model. Could I do high fashion modeling? Luke?
I mean, I'm not going to say no, you cannot do high fashion modeling. But like I said, the standard and what we see generally is, 5'9", maybe sometimes 5'8.5" to that 5'11". But there are cases where there are certain models that are outside of those height requirements and size requirements that we see on runway. So it's not a, across the board no, but it's just generally what we see.
And that's another thing that a lot of people don't talk about. A lot of people say, oh, you need to at least be this height. You need to at least be this. And so they just automatically assume, that as long as you're tall, you're good. But you can be too tall. It goes back to, can you fit in the clothes that are made? And then let's say that you are a woman and you are super tall and you're doing a runway show with men as well. That designer might not want you to be taller than all the guys on the runway. So it's all these little pieces that come into play that, people just completely forget about. So again, this whole point of this, educating you guys.
Yes. All right. And that happened to me. I went into some agencies. They're like, you are too handsome. It was crazy. All right. All right. Is versatility in your look more desirable over experience when starting this process into the industry? So let's go with Peyton. Can you answer that? Is versatility in your look more desirable over experience?
Again, I think it just depends. This is a case by case thing. We were talking earlier about how some casting directors are now looking for people who don't have a lot of experience. So you can be a new face. That's one aspect. Sometimes, a lot of times we see people that have, a lot of experience, but that's like making them only be a certain way. And it's kind of blocking them off from other opportunities because they're not open to anything else. So, that's again, one of those strategy things. But if I was going to pick one of your answers, is it versatility or is it experience that's better? I'm going to say if you're not represented by an agency, you're looking to be represented right now, or a manager, whatever, versatility is going to come into play more than your experience.
Thank you.
Now, if you're with an agent right now or a mother agent and you're trying to move on to another agency, then the experience might come into play a little bit.
All right, Luke, I got a tough one for you. You ready? Here we go. What about body and face acne? I'm nervous I'll be turned away at the door. Are they strict about it?
I've taken a couple clients that have had acne, and as long as they're showing me that they're trying to work on it, and if we can get it cleared up, we'll say, all right, well, let's give it 6 months and see if we can work on it and see if it'll get any clearer. Excuse me. We don't really turn people away from it. We'll give it a try, but if there's, nothing that we can do by 6 months, then we'll say, hey, it's not really working out, because nobody right now is looking to book somebody with acne. Now, there are some times that they want people with acne. I've got several breakdowns over the past year with they're wanting models with acne. So it's another case by case thing. If you're scared that it's going to stand in the way, just find an agency that's willing to take you on.
Yeah. Okay. So yes, I mean, you can work. I mean, I would get out of your own head about, the appearance of it, but, do your best for yourself. Diet, exercise, skincare. There's a lot of foods out there that are triggers, so just find, what's best for you, what works best for you. Not all skin products are the same. So, all right. So let's see here. What would you say is the best hairstyles for ripping the runway? I myself have dreads. Would you say a ponytail, styles, or hanging down? I'm going to say that's going to really fall on the look of the actual show. Whatever the show is, we usually have a whole look for the actual show. How many looks do we usually have, Peyton, for like a runway show?
So designer wise, is that what we're talking
No,
about?
I'm just saying, like when Laura puts up the look,
okay, gotcha.
styles.
So
How many styles?
gotcha. So what Josh's talking about is generally, at our shows, we have, anywhere from like 12 plus designers. And amongst all of that, we have a theme based on, whatever those looks are. And then for the hair and the makeup, we have, X number of looks. I'm going to say anywhere from probably about 5 for women and 3 for men, roughly, give or take a few, that kind of fit within that. But for us, all of it is a little bit more natural. So to answer your question, again, like Josh said, it depends on what you're doing. If you're walking for a very specific designer in its own like little moment, that designer is going to tell you exactly what you want. Now, if you're walking for someone like us, where our goal is to get you represented by an agency, again, we're going back to making you look as natural as possible. So obviously that's dreads for you. I think that's super cool. So we would be showcasing that. How we style it, I don't know. I have to see how giant these things are.
All right. Let's get into the next question here. What would be good jobs to help get more insight and learn more about the ins and out of the entertainment industry while I wait to be getting more steady work as a model actress? So what are some good jobs to help more insight and learn more about the ins and outs of the entertainment industry? I'm not sure about jobs, but I mean, I know that there's a lot of YouTube sites, a lot of videos that you can learn about the entertainment industry. One of them, I think, is this company called Preview Models. They have a YouTube page, and there's going to be a lot of different content, a lot of videos from agents, from celebrities that are going to give you a lot more information. So I would say maybe not jobs, but more educate yourself on the entertainment industry is what I would say with that. Let's see.
So subscribe? I think that's what you're supposed
subscribe
to say on YouTube,
the
right?
YouTube?
Yeah. So you see the next time we're live, which we're going to be doing this more than just this particular moment.
We are, yes. We have some really cool guests lined up. Not saying that you're not cool, Luke. I'm just saying that other guests, we're going to have some cool things going on. All right. So let's see. Is there potential to have
Canadian?
Oh, Canadian. I was like, where is Kabatayan?
Yeah.
Is there potential to have Canadian agents? I'm from Northern Ontario, and would it be convenient? I think that's going to fall into, find the representation. You can be signed in other areas, other territories, and it's always good to have, representation, maybe more than one agent that represents you in different areas. I think that we touched on that one already.
Yeah, but I'm curious though, like, so Luke, like what I do know, like the Canadian market for like TV film, like there's a lot of film incentives up there. So there's a lot of that goes on there. But what about from like the fashion world? Is there a big like Canadian presence? Like what's going on there?
No, what we find a lot of is like the Canadian agencies wanting to place in New York. And so it is beneficial to have the agents in Canada to help with like the visas and that sort of stuff. There is a market there. I mean, there's some clients there. I know Next has an office in Canada, so there's work there, but I wouldn't say that it's as much as here in the US.
So kind of talking like what we were talking about earlier, like, can you have multiple agents in different markets, blah, 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 blah. Let's say that, you are in Canada and you do sign with one of these Canadian agents. If you are interested in being in other markets, the very first person or group of people that you need to have a conversation with is your agency, because it's in their best interest to get you placed in as many markets as possible. So, if you're already placed or you do get placed in the future and you then want to, kind of branch out even more from that, have a conversation with your agent. They're working for you. People forget that all the time. The agent works for you.
Yeah. Luke, how do model agencies feel about nose piercings and belly button piercings? Well, Luke has a nice little belly button. I'm just kidding. He does not. He does not. He does not. How do you feel about the nose piercing and belly button piercings?
I say, like belly button piercings, I don't really have an opinion on it, but nose piercings, as long as they can be hidden, I think that they're fine.
Okay.
Again, that's one of those things that we know can come out, but you also don't want to have, don't go get them. But, if you have it, that's something that we know is not permanent.
I think that was one of the deterrents from Luke signing Peyton, because Peyton has nipple piercings. So, and he was looking for...
Funny story, Josh, is that, Luke was actually one of my clients years and years ago. And so sometimes, this industry brings you behind the camera, even when you were in front of it before.
All right. Don't pierce your nipples like Peyton. All right, here we go. Let's see. What type of modeling would you suggest for petite models? I'm 5'3".
So first off, Luke, can you just explain what is a petite model? Like, people hear that all the time, but like industry standard, what is that?
A model below 5'8.5". Yeah. Which I mean, our top biller is 5'7" curve model. So she's below that standard height, and she's also a curve model, but she also makes the most money as a model at the agency. So, but petite would be considered like under 5'8.5". But what was the question behind that?
What type of modeling do you suggest?
Oh, I mean,
where would you send them?
To do like beauty, campaign,
commercial print.
Yeah.
Yeah, commercial print. So there's high fashion runway, that's where, there is a size, there is a height requirement, 99% of the time. Commercial print on the other side, for the most part, there's no size, height, or age requirement. It's very broad.
All right. Okay, next question. Why is it so expensive to get started for those with us, and for those of us with lower incomes? Is there a way to get help? Okay, well, that's a good question. I mean, as far as it being expensive, you have to look at this as what are you getting into? You're getting into a career, right? You have to learn the craft of what you're getting into. There's a lot of information that goes into entertainment. It's not just, hey, I'm pretty, sign me, let's go work, right? You still have to go on to these castings. You still have to know what you're doing. You have to have updated photos. I mean, there's a lot that goes into it to work on a national level. I mean, you have to have updated resumes. You have to be working, with people that have name value in the industry. You need to be shooting with agency photographers. Is it expensive? I mean, I think it's less than, college. But and there's a lot more that can come out of it. But you have to really invest in yourself, no matter whatever industry you get into, whatever it is. If you want to become a hairstylist and put extensions in, you're going to have to pay for that school, and you have to learn. It's just like any industry. I think just people are confused about like the investment into getting into something. They just want everything to be free. But if you're going to work on a national level and go on national campaigns where these campaigns could pay tens of thousands of dollars, there's going to be investment in yourself to get yourself to that point. So as far as, I always tell a lot of people, raise the money, think outside the box, do some bake sales, wash cars. I don't know, whatever you're good at, but raise the money to get yourself started into something like this. But there is an investment, no matter, whether you just come out to Hollywood and start knocking on doors. I mean, there's going to be an investment in yourself. Would you guys like to touch on that?
I do. Yeah. People, again, going back to this whole thing about entertainment, you being the product and having emotion and being a person, it gets weird when you start like trying to process all this in your brain. But if you can really step back and look how the entertainment industry works, it's an industry like any other. So let's say that you wanted to be a landscaper and you needed to like mow people's lawns. You need a lawnmower, you need gas for the lawnmower, you need clothes so you don't get sunburned. Same stuff, except in our industry, it's like, okay, you need photos. You need to get yourself to these meetings with these agents or whatever. If you're an actor, you might need some coaching because you've never had it before. All these things are the same. It's just, I think that, a lot of people get overwhelmed because it's something for themselves in America. And I'll say it. I hope this goes viral for some reason because I don't care. I don't have a social media presence that I have to keep. But I think Americans have been taught to not invest into themselves. Like, it's not looked at as something good. You should always do stuff for others. You should always do things for this. You should always, work for that. But you don't do anything for yourself. That's selfish. Well, it's for you to be able to like do something that you're truly passionate about. You do need to be a little bit selfish. And I think it's okay, because if you're not selfish with yourself, nobody else is going to do it for you. So step back, see how much this industry like means to you and how much you actually want to do it. And if you start looking at it that way, like Josh says, you'll find a way. Maybe you can't pay for photos. That's fine. You can, ask friends who are photographers to help you, get your photography. Maybe they didn't do it exactly the right way that you wanted it to. Okay, pick up a photo and show them, hey, let's try to get something like this. You're helping them get better and they're going to help you. So, if you don't have the funds, network. Start networking, start finding people who are trying to do the same thing that you're doing. And, look at every like actor out there. And usually that's a celebrity, whatever that we know. Usually there's kind of like a group of people around them. And if you kind of look in the past, they all came up together. And that was because they helped each other. They did it together.
Yeah. I like these comments coming in. Yeah. You got to invest in yourself for sure. And look, that's how you're going to break out of these lower incomes. You gotta put yourself out there. You got to really invest in yourself and make yourself better. And then you can get out of that cycle, hopefully. All right. Question for the production. Will we have interviews with agents? Absolutely. You're going to have, right now we have, I want to say 32 agencies that are attached to the March 2024 production, and we're still adding agents. Am I correct on that, Peyton?
You are correct. And then just to clarify, because remember, not everybody is going to one of our events here. So the question, I think, is that, if you come to one of our events, are you actually having interviews with agents and management companies? Yeah, you are. So there's agencies and management companies that come to our Los Angeles and our Paris event, specifically looking for new talent to sign. And so, you do the show, and then on the second day, you actually have, one-on-one meetings with them, hopefully with the hopes of eventually getting signed. Now, if you're not talking about the event, will you have interviews with agents? Maybe. So normally the way it works is either through referral. If you know someone, they can hook you up with an agent and you go meet with their team or whatever. But you can also submit to agencies. Every single agency website out there has a like submission form where you submit certain photos and blah, blah, blah. So basically you do that. A lot of times it goes to maybe a junior agent or an intern. I don't know. Every company's different. And then once it goes down the chain and then they're ultimately thinking that you might be able to make them money, then they would set up an interview with you either in their office or Zoom, just depending on whatever parameters. So yeah, that's why at our event, like we have, everybody meet with all of the agents, no matter where you stand with them in that moment, because, they're human. Things can change in a little, one-on-one conversation.
All right. Let's get back into this. I'm only going to go probably another, what do we think, Peyton? 3-4 more questions?
Well, actually, this is what we're going to do. So we slated this thing to be an hour. So we have about 10 minutes left. So our original intention was to give you the 7 steps to book national representation. But we're not
But I
going to
love
make
all
it
the
through.
questions.
I
Love
know,
it.
but you guys like brought a lot more questions than we were even expecting. So what we're going to do is we're going to continue on these questions, and then the next time that we schedule this, we're going to continue down our list. So you're going to have to come back to
Okay.
get the rest of the 7 steps, but we're going
Okay.
to continue
Well,
on the questions.
yeah,
for
but
now.
I think the next one we have a few influencers, but it's okay. We're gonna
Hey,
get. We're
they
gonna
can
get this.
help us also. We can cover 2 of these topics and then go down the rabbit hole. It's
Okay.
fine.
Luke, this is for you. Let's go. With tattoos being more popular in American culture, I feel like a Jeopardy host when I read these. Is it a good skill as a model to be able to use your poses to not let them overpower a look and use makeup to conceal depending on the look? I would say that's going to be a client question, whoever you're working with, whoever the client is, if they're going to want tattoos or not. It's not going to hurt you to have tattoos. My good friend Don Benjamin, he has tattoos on his sleeves, and sometimes I see him in catalogs with naked arms. I'm like, whoa, that's crazy. So if they want to use you as the model, they'll take care of that as far as tattoos are concerned. Either
we
they'll
want to be
want them or they
realistic
won't.
here too. Yeah, we want to be realistic too. So if you do have 2 tattoos, cool, great, that's awesome. But when you're meeting with agencies and casting directors, keep in mind that they are also going to have that in mind. And so if you get casted for a campaign and they don't want you to have tattoos, they are going to be thinking about the little bit of hair and makeup cost to get those tattoos removed or the editing afterwards. And so, you could potentially be causing that production a little bit more cost to happen. And that might be a factor why you may or may not be casted. So again, I'm just saying this so you guys understand that this industry, again, I've said it, is a strategy. And, sometimes a tattoo can get you the job, but sometimes it can keep you from one. Just like having hair can. Who knows?
Okay. Let's see here. Luke, how can you avoid getting pigeonholed, typecasted in the entertainment industry?
Well, I mean, that's really what we work based off. You're in a typecast either way. So I don't really have advice on how to avoid that because you are in a specific typecast.
Yeah, I would say that would be more along the lines of an acting question. How do you not get pigeonholed or typecasted in the industry? Like if you're a reality star, or you don't, reality stars aren't going to be taken serious in major acting roles. It just happens. So that's more of an acting thing. What's your brand? What are you trying to go for? Are you a reality star, or are you a film actor? Are you a movie star? Are you a commercial actor? I think that's more of an acting thing. But how to avoid it? Really research what you're getting into. What is the role? How's it going to portray you? Is it a reality show or is it a real thing? Are you doing commercials for herpes or something crazy? These are things that could, you don't want to be walking through the mall. Hey, you're that herpy guy now.
Yeah. If y'all thought y'all recognized Josh, that's why. No,
for the
actually,
record, I do not. No,
yeah.
that is
So anyway,
incorrect.
because you're going down a little bit of a rabbit hole here, we kind of already answered this question, but not like directly. So let's refer back. So earlier we talked about being versatile. So I think the way for you to not pigeonhole yourself is to try to be as versatile of a talent, of a model, of a person that you can. Go learn some new skills, go do some new hobbies, try different styles, in your everyday when you're getting dressed or whatever. Just have the intention of being as versatile as you can. That's how you don't pigeonhole yourself.
Absolutely. Okay, here we go. Let's see. Getting back to these questions here. We got 6 minutes. Is it best to have a physical portfolio with a good selection of editorial shots? If so, what shots would be recommended, Luke? Is it good to have a physical portfolio with a good selection of editorial shots?
I think if you're visiting somebody in person, yes, then it would be beneficial to have. I don't know that it would be beneficial for you to spend money to print one out if you're not going to meet with casting directors or going to an event. But I think if you're meeting with casting directors.
Okay. I have something to add on to that really quick. When somebody brings in, let's say, would you include any like boudoir shoots or nudes or anything like that? We want to stay away from those, right? Like that's not going to go in your portfolios. So that's something that, because we get sent a lot of different photos and people just don't know, like we're talking about fashion, we're talking about entertainment, keep those other ones to yourselves. All right. What about red wine hair? Is that considered a natural color or not at all?
So look here. So I'll touch on 2 points. When I'm saying like be your natural self, generally what that means is like your actual like natural hair color. However, there are some cases where maybe you've been a blonde your entire, teenage plus life or whatever, but that's not your actual natural hair color, but it is a natural hair color and that matches what your photos are on your comp cards. In that case, it would probably be fine. You're saying red wine. I'm not going to answer yes or no on that because the red wine that I'm seeing in my head, I don't think is a natural hair color, but for you, it might be. So again, it comes to a case-by-case basis. If you happen to be one of our clients that is coming to this event and you're confused about what your hair color needs to be, just email client relations, like a photo or something, and we'll let you know. That's what we're here for.
Okay. We got to get into this here. Touching back on the piercing.
By the way, Josh, like the live stream is not going to cut off right at 1 hour. So if we go a couple minutes.
No, we have to hurry right now. Do it. Stop talking. Okay, here we go. Touching back on the piercing situation, I have a nose piercing, and I know that I can go 8 hours without one in. Would it rather be a small stud piercing jewelry or no jewelry at all? Luke.
I think no jewelry at all.
I think no jewelry at all. I think that, it's just a distraction to have it in, and you want to be as blank canvas as possible.
I agree. And then years ago, I don't remember what event I was at, but there was a model at one of those events that also had a nose piercing. And for the time that she couldn't wear whatever, she had this little like translucent, it looked like needle looking thing. It wasn't sharp, but you couldn't even see it. That held the hole open. I don't know what that is. I don't know if that's a special thing, but she found like a translucent thing just to keep the hole open. So I don't know. I'm sure that's something that you can probably Google.
Okay.
And you skipped the question. So somebody asked, does Luke work with Ophelia Management? And yeah, he's from Ophelia.
Luke, well, let Luke answer that question. Luke, do you work with Ophelia? Excuse me. This question does not say Peyton on it. Luke, do you work with Ophelia Management?
Yes.
In case you missed that earlier. All right.
Yes, he is a booking agent with Ophelia Management. Okay. Hello, gentlemen. How do we brand ourselves on our comp cards? What should we be portraying? I hear that we should be developing our brand, but what does that exactly mean, Peyton?
So I was blanking because my assistant was talking to
Hello, gentlemen. So how do we brand ourselves on a comp card? What should we be portraying? I hear that developing our brand, but what does that exactly mean?
So, okay. And I'm going to have Luke kind of answer this also. So for us, from our perspective, what our job is you come to one of our events and our job is to get as much interest from an agency or a management company, sometimes casting directors too, get as much interest from those people for you. So for a comp card, I would want that to be pretty general. I want to see kind of, a little bit of a blank canvas. If you do have any editorial shots where you've like done a very specific type of shoot, maybe throw one of those on there to show the versatility. But instead of focusing on brand, what I would focus on is showing as much versatility that I could in one little card. Now, Luke, why don't you add on to that? Let me ask you. So let's say that New York Fashion Week is coming around and you happen to, I don't know, because you're in that world, kind of get a little bit more insight as to like what's hot or what's not this year or whatever, would you guide your models to like make their comp cards more in that direction, or would you keep it kind of versatile as well? What's your input on that?
So with Fashion Week comp cards, what I see a lot of times is, obviously the best images that we feel like the model have altogether, the best 4 or 5 images. But also too, sometimes I'm starting to see where agencies will put jobs that the models have booked on those comp cards, especially if it's a model that's like established. Somebody that's been doing Fashion Week, this is now their 5th or 6th season. They'll sometimes put jobs that they booked on those comp cards.
Interesting. Yeah, I haven't seen one of those yet.
Okay. Let's get back into this. I have a scar through my eyebrow that looks like a slit. Should it be filled in for my comp card photos? Peyton.
So again, cool. You have a scar. That's something that's not going to change, and that's something that we can easily fix though. I think if with my, I would say that I would maybe have one of your photos or 2 of your photos that has it, and then some that don't. And then just to show that versatility. But then again, it also comes down to how you're going to feel most comfortable showcasing yourself to these agencies for the first time. Do you normally pencil that scar in and cover it? If so, then obviously you should do it for everything. But if you sometimes do it and sometimes not, then you should reflect that as well. So I think that really comes down to a little bit more of a personal preference, but also keeping in mind versatility.
Versatility, yes.
Yeah, it's the word of the day.
Okay, and let's see here. Okay, got it. Will we have interviews with agents? So you're talking about the production. Yes, there will be interviews with agents because I don't speak much English. Okay. Well, as far as a lot of our agents, there are some bilingual. I don't know what language that you actually do speak. And is that a deterrent from signing with an agency? No, it's not so much a deterrent as far as that you don't speak much English, because the job, as far as in the modeling industry, isn't going to matter much as far as what language you speak. Okay. All right. So what would you say about that, Luke? Do you have models that do speak other languages?
Yeah, we have models that speak multiple languages. We don't represent anybody that doesn't speak much English, so I can't really give any insight on that. I don't think that it would really hinder being represented though, because I mean, it's a look-based business, so I don't think that it would hinder too much.
From the modeling and like fashion world, I have not seen it hinder someone's opportunities from that perspective. But if you're also interested in acting, it might a little bit. So that's something to consider with acting, obviously, because you have to talk. Usually the more languages that you can speak is better. So if you're just not, if you're learning English and you're not quite there yet, I mean, keep on doing that. I mean, I'm trying to learn Spanish. It's a nightmare, but it can open up your opportunities if you can do that. But from modeling strictly, it's not going to hinder you as much as it would be if you're only focusing on the acting route. In the US, there's countries all around the world with agencies that are looking for, languages from that country. So, but we're just talking about US primarily.
Yes. All right, guys. So we are over time on this, which is great. We have so many more questions that we really didn't get to. I'm sorry. We didn't expect as many questions that came in, so that's a good thing. So we need to do this more so we can inform the public, I think, a little bit more about entertainment. But make sure that you guys do subscribe to the YouTube channel, because Luke is going to be uploading a bunch of videos from an agency's perspective. And we also have different podcast videos with other different celebrities and top models that we actually work with. That will be very insightful for you. So make sure you do subscribe. Sorry, we couldn't get to all the comments today. I didn't even get to the 7. We got to 2. We got 2 out of 7. And then we kind of filled the time with Q&A, which is great. I love it. If you guys are preview models, I believe you have a Zoom next week with one of our top models, Renee Bagwandine, talking about editorial shoots. If you want to be a preview model, check out the site, the Instagram. There is virtual auditions that are happening, I believe, as early as tomorrow. We have some next week. And then I believe we're going to be on the road again. So make sure you check the Instagram as far as joining. If that's something that you are interested in. We are currently casting for our October 2024 production in Hollywood. And guys, Luke, thank you for joining us tonight. I appreciate your time. You've been a good host or co-host. I appreciate you. Peyton, I love you. And thank you for coming and being here and taking the time to chat with all of these potential models and actors today. So till next time, guys, I appreciate all you guys tuning in, and make sure you tune in for the next live. We're going to have, I think, hopefully we'll finish the 7 steps, and we will be talking to some social media influencers. So make sure you guys subscribe. But for now, that's our time. I'm Josh. I'm out. Peyton, I love you. Luke,
Yeah, I
love
think
you.
that sign off took longer than the whole entire YouTube that we just did.
He loves when I talk. He loves when I talk. Bye, everybody.
All right. See you guys.